cannon fodder. Chain the pain, Spartan.
I have played almost 140 hours of Halo Infinite, though according to Halo Tracker, that only translates to about 98 hours of gameplay right now, so sorry for the clickbait title. I've grinded from Bronze to Onyx rank and experienced basically every little facet of what Halo Infinite's free-to-play multiplayer has to offer. I've also been a fan of the Halo franchise ever since Halo Combat Evolved. Halo 3 is my favorite game of all time. I grew up with that. That's gaming to me. So, Halo Infinite, is it any good? Let's talk about it. The first thing I want to get out of the way, frankly, is the elephant in the room, the microtransactions, the progression system, etc. Now, I'm going to be very upfront and honest. I'm not the type of player who's ever really cared about customization. I know that's a horrendous thing to say, and that's something that's going to upset a lot of Halo fans. But I'm not just talking about in Halo, in any game. Whenever there's like character creation, I generally skip through it. I just want to get to the gameplay. In Halo games, I tend to make my Spartan look like a character from Red vs. Blue, and then I just leave it like that. That's what I did in Halo 3, that's what I did in Master Chief Collection, etc. But now I can't do that with the new system, thanks to the armor coatings. But honestly, it just don't care too much. Look, I don't want to take away from the vast majority of you who this is a big issue for, and I don't want to downplay the problem. Clearly, the progression system does have issues, and at the very least, I absolutely agree that armor coatings should of course work on all armor cores. It's ridiculous that you should have to unlock the same armor coatings multiple times for multiple different suits of armor. However, I don't know, it's a modern free-to-play multiplayer game, you know, like, of course there are going to be microtransactions, and of course, if you want to collect everything, that might feel bad. I've always been a collector as well, but that's just the way modern gaming is, sadly. And I know that there's a lot of well-respected content creators online, such as Hidden Xperia, whose content I absolutely love, by the way. I watch all of his videos, he's fantastic. However, they argue that Halo's different. Halo should have its own method and have its own... But I just don't agree with that. I mean, of course, in an ideal world, I'd love it if we could unlock everything through playing, etc., etc. Of course, I'd love that. But I think you've got to be a little bit realistic in that this is the way that gaming has shifted these days, and it sucks that Halo's gone that route as well. But heck, I take this over the Warzone pay to get better weapons and vehicle system from Halo 5, right? Like, at least it's just cosmetic. You can play everything in the game without. So, I don't know. The thing is, the way gaming works nowadays is that if a game's free to play, you get the odd whale that is willing to spend lots and lots of money and buy everything, and they fund the game so that you don't have to and you can play it for free. So I don't agree with the arguments that Halo shouldn't have stuff that you can only unlock through microtransactions. I just don't see that being an issue. But I realize this is an elephant, and I realize that I'm not going to have the popular take there. Don't get me wrong, again. Of course, I would prefer that everything was free and available to unlock in game, but I'm just playing devil's advocate, and I just think that's the way that it is. I do hope that the system does get changed in a way that the wider community prefer, especially when it comes, again, to armor coatings and that kind of thing. But for the overall progression system, again, I hope that we get one soon, like an overall, not just a battle pass one. I have a different issue to everyone else in that I'm already at the time of recording, I'm tier 83. I think, all but guaranteed to complete the battle pass when the next week of challenges unlocks tomorrow, and I'm not going to have anything to grind for. So I would personally love an overall progression system, even if it's something really, really simple and basic like Halo 3's experience system, where you win, you get a point, and then that's that. That would be great, and it just builds up. Like, even just an arbitrary number so I can show off how much of the game I've played. I'd love something to grind towards. Don't care what, something. Whether it's Halo 5's, was it rank 152, or like Halo Reach's system, anything like that, just something. I don't care what, it doesn't have to be advanced, anything. That's what I want. Ironically, the opposite system, as a lot of people have been saying, the battle pass is too slow. I've played too many hours of this game, I don't know what to tell you, like it's been really fast for me. And I'm going to unlock the Mark 6 helmet when I hit tier 84, which is I think my next tier, which is the one thing that I've been really excited to unlock. So that's cool. Anyways, let's move on to what actually matters now, the gameplay. It's good. I don't know what you expected me to say. I've played over 100 hours in less than 3 weeks. Of course, I think it's good. In fact, I think it's the best Halo has ever felt. Ever. Like I said, Halo 3 is my favorite game of all time. At the moment, I cannot put down Halo Infinite. In fact, the reason I've not made any content until now, 3 weeks after launch, is because I've not been able to, simply because I've not been able to put the dang game down. Yeah, the game is great. It feels amazing. I'm going to start by talking through a few issues that I do have with the game, and again, if these sound a little bit weird to you, it's because I've played too many hours. So, the Plasma Pistol and the Banshee, they both kind of suck. I believe that 343 already confirmed they are both getting buffed soon anyway. It's not a huge issue, but this is the part that really annoys me. The fact that if you pop someone's shields with the Plasma Pistol with a fully charged Plasma Bolt, and then a teammate picks them off with a headshot, you don't get credited with an assist for that. And that's not okay. That's a bit rubbish. I need those assist points to rank up in ranked, darn it. Speaking of ranked, the grind to Onyx was a lot of fun. Playing ranked with teammates, using the callouts, etc. has always been a blast. The ping system is fantastic. I would appreciate a little more transparency about exactly how the system works. In my experience, you gain a rank if you win, you lose rank if you lose, but the amount that you gain or lose purely seems to depend on your own kills and deaths until you get to Onyx, at which point it only matters if you win or lose. I'm not 100% sure about that. I do like the weapon sandbox a lot for ranked, and I like the rank settings like no grenade hit markers and no motion sensor and battle rifle starts. I think that 343 Industries have done a great thing of setting up this sort of precedent for ranked. While I agree that, well, I also think that in quick play and big team battle, assault rifle starts are just fine, because it makes you want to drop the weapon and pick up something else. BR starts in ranks just makes sense. What I do not like in ranked, my biggest issue, is there is no way to rejoin a game if you get disconnected. It's not a big deal in quick play or big team battle. Like, it sucks if you get disconnected and your teammates are in. Yeah, that's sad. But at least for those playing the game, someone will come in and join in progress and replace them. However, if you're loading into a game of ranked and one of your teammates' game crashes, which happens fairly frequently at the moment, I guess it is something is still in beta, you're just playing a 3v4 game of ranked, and it's unwinnable. Like, if it's Slayer, I guess you've got like a tiny chance, but if you're playing any objective game, then you just can't win 3v4, you just can't. That's not fun for anyone. Other competitive FPS games like Valorant have a way for you to join back in if your game crashes or you get disconnected or something. It would be fantastic to get that in Halo Infinite. In fact, I think we need it urgently. So that would be a huge fix, in my opinion. Otherwise, ranked is great. Quick play is also pretty good, except for the map launch site. I don't like that map. In my opinion, it's the only bad map in the game, and maybe it would work well in 8v8. It doesn't work in 4v4. It just doesn't. One flag on launch site is okay. It would be nice to see more one flag generally, but launch site is... If I had to do like a tier list of all the maps in this game, the 4v4 maps, they'd be like all S tier and A tier, and then launch site would be like D tier. And everything else is like great. For me, Live Fire, Recharge, they are my favorite maps. I freaking love them. Streets Aquarius, also fantastic. Behemoth is great. Maybe not so much in ranks, but just really fun in quick play. And have I missed one? Have I missed a map? Oh, Bazaar. Bazaar's alright. Bazaar's pretty good. It's still pretty good. Yeah, good maps. This game has good maps. One quick thing, if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting me with a sub, pressing the like button, and leaving a comment. These things help me out drastically. I'm really planning on making a lot of Halo content soon, so if you like what you're seeing, then stick around. Hopefully see more of you coming up. Let's talk about Big Team Battle. Also pretty great. A drastically different way to play the game. On one hand, I agree that we could do with some more maps, although, as I said, the maps we've got in 4v4 are fantastic. The Big Team Battle maps, in particular, High Power and Fragmentation, I think are amazing. And there are 10 maps total, which isn't that the same as the Halo 3 had at launch? Maybe? I think it is. It's a good map pool selection. Big fan of honestly the launch maps in this game. I think 343 Industries have done a great job with them. Combat is always fluid and fun. Stockpile is a little bit of a mediocre game mode in my opinion. I think it's the kind of game mode that would be fun if you had a full team of 12 coordinated, but I think for random lobbies, like, Stockpile's not great. It just tends to end very quickly when one team overpowers the other, as one team seems to know what they're doing and the other don't. I just think a lot of people suck at big team battle and don't really get the strategy yet, but that's fine. I don't like stockpile very much. However, Total Control, I think, is incredible. Big fan of that game mode. Yeah, Total Control, fantastic. My favorite thing to play in Halo Infinite right now. Vehicles, apart from the Banshee, feel the best they've ever felt in this game, in my opinion. The Ghost is so strong. The Gungoose, Warthog, and Chopper, all insanely fun. Little side note about the Chopper. I know a lot of people are complaining because you can't like boost through other vehicles and destroy them like you could in the old games. Actually, it works a little different in Halo Infinite. The Chopper can shred through other vehicles, but it does it differently. You have to grind the front of the Chopper's wheels against another vehicle, and it will deal damage quite quickly to that vehicle over time. So it's not so much about rushing through a vehicle at full speed, it's just about pressing the front of the Chopper against another vehicle, and eventually it will explode and you will get the Lawnmower medal as a result. So it is still a thing in this game. A lot of people don't think it is, but it is. And the Lawnmower medal is pretty cool when you do get it. It's just quite rare. My largest complaint about Big Team Battle is actually the heavy vehicles. And flying vehicles, I guess. They just don't spawn enough. The Wasp has a constant or consistent spawn in both bases on high power, which is cool. It's actually one of the reasons I like high power so much. But otherwise, where are the vehicles at, you know? The Wraith is my favorite vehicle in the Halo sandbox, has been for a long time. I love the Wraith. The Banished Wraith is very cool as well. However, I didn't even get to drive one until 80 hours of gameplay. 80 hours. That was when I first got to drive a Wraith, which is mad because I've been whinging to all of my friends saying, I just want to drive a Wraith, I just want to drive, and I finally got to drive one 80 hours in. That's not really okay, is it? We need heavy vehicles more often. If they're only going to drop at the end of the game, 343 are like convinced that's the best way to go, that they want vehicle drops to be a moment, then that's fine, but they need to drop consistently. They need to actually drop, you know, with several minutes still on the clock. Every game, not just like every 3 or 4 games. You know, so so many times I've seen Wraiths drop with like 10 seconds left and they're going to capture the flag. It's like, what's the point of that? What's the point? It's stupid. But yeah, it would be really great if we saw heavy vehicles a little more often. Okay, so that's the game modes. I do agree that it's sad that there are so few. Team doubles would be fantastic to have as both a ranked and social playlist, though I can see why it's absent. The quick play maps, the 4v4 maps, were clearly designed specifically for 4v4 gameplay. It doesn't feel like there are any maps like Guardian, like Blackout, like the Halo 3 maps, like even High Ground, that are sort of, they're small enough where 2v2 combat would work well on them. I don't know, maybe live fire 2v2 would be okay, but it feels like the maps are just a little bit too big. It feels like they have been designed so specifically for 4v4 and for those objectives, and I think that they are so fantastic and polished and good at what they do. I don't think I can complain too much. I genuinely think they're all A to S tier maps. However, it would be great if someday we get some maps that would work for 2v2. Maybe that's what we'll get with Forge. Although, I don't think I would have wanted to trade how good these 4v4 maps are for 2v2 playlists. I do think, as sad as it is that there's no doubles, I do think that the trade-off was worth it. Honestly, the few playlists we have are insanely fun. Again, otherwise I wouldn't have played 130 hours already. It has now been confirmed as well that SWAT, or it's known as Tactical Slayer now apparently, Fiesta and Free For All are all coming before the end of the year, which I think is fantastic. I really hope Free For All and SWAT get ranked offerings too. I'm not going to hold my breath for that, but I loved Lone Wolves on Halo 3. It was like my favorite way of playing. It'd be really cool to get that experience back in Halo Infinite. Otherwise, Infection at some point, please, 343, that'd be great. Griffball would be fun as well. I wonder how Griffball would work with the way the hammer works now. It'd probably be a very different type of game mode, actually. But yeah, personally, I'm fine with waiting for those. Obviously, Forge not being in the game at launch stings, especially for that community. I know that iSpiteful in particular is a fantastic Halo YouTuber who is going to be struggling because Forge is such a big part of what he does. I'm hoping that he gets the big boom and the explosion that he deserves when Forge does come out. But in the meantime, it is a shame for them. However, for me, I'm just excited for when it does come out. I love playing. I'm not a big forger myself, but I love playing other people's maps, and hopefully we'll get playlists in the game full of maps made by the community and that kind of thing, and it should be a way to revitalize the game a little bit later down the line. And so I'm trying to turn a positive out of a negative there. It does suck that it's not here for launch, but there you go. All right, next up, weapons and the equipment sandbox. In my mind, the weapon sandbox has never felt better in a Halo game. The assault rifle is fine. It's good. You can hit and kill people from pretty far away across the map, but I always want to pick up something else if I can, which means it's doing its job well. It's a good starting weapon, but I'm dropping it basically for anything else. If that's not designed well, I don't know what to say about it. All weapons, even those that to me initially felt useless, like the Disruptor, the Pulse Carbine, and the Ravager, do have their uses in the sandbox. Even the Ravager, which we all agree is mostly garbage, right? Just over the last few days, the last like 10 hours of gameplay, I've started picking it up and using its alt-fire mode, the fully charged blast, and I've been consistently getting good kills with it. Even the Ravager seems to have its uses. Yeah, a little bit of balancing and tweaking here and there could be good, but generally, I think that the weapons are really, really good and diverse in this game. Even weapons that I at first thought were garbage, they just felt garbage to me, now I love them. Like I'm picking up the shock rifle and the commando rifle all the time. When I first played with them, I thought they were dreadful. Now the shock rifle, I've sort of mastered the perfect kill with it. And it's like, wow, okay, now that feels good. The commando rifle, you kind of get used to the firing pattern. It's like, oh, maybe, sometimes I do want to pick that up instead of the battle rifle. There's a lot to learn, and I will be doing videos covering all of the different parts of the sandbox soon. Same goes for grenades. Frags and plasma grenades are the same as they've ever been. Spike grenades feel better and beefier than they did in Halo 3, and dynamo grenades are fantastic. Probably, in my opinion, the most powerful grenades in the game. Not only do they slow people down when they're near them, but the damage over time, stopping them from getting their shields back, it just feels good. You just throw it. It's like a little power drain from Halo 3. I love it. Super strong, super useful. And EMP's video is in Big Team Battle. What's not to love? And now equipment. The threat detector and drop wall are both fine, helpful enough, but not too exciting. The thruster is good. I personally like to use it to thrust towards my opponents to catch them off guard and go for a very quick melee kill. But the repulsor and the grapple hook are actually goated. These pieces of equipment are fantastic. It is obvious from the first time you use the grapple hook that it's insane, but then you learn how to curve around with it. You learn how to look around and actually maneuver mid-grapple. And I remember learning this and it blew my mind when I realized you could do that. And suddenly, if you want to get into a window, like you're on recharge and you want to get into one of the sniper windows or something, you can do it. You can just hook onto the ceiling and you can get there 100% of the time. It is so powerful. And the sword grapple combo is like the most insane combo in the game. It feels so good. You always want to be holding the grapple hook. Although, the repulsor has become one of my favorite pieces of equipment, if not actually my favorite. I have a bit of an issue, a problem, an addiction to booping people off of the map on live fire, especially in ranked. Live fire, strongholds, ranked, I camp by B-spawn, people come and attack me from outside the sort of the circular thing, I just boop them off the map. Just like this.
Maintain social distance.
Mind the gap. Your team scored. Mind the gap. Mind the gap. Killing spree.
Just boop them off.
Active camo available. We've captured Alpha. Mind the gap. Yard sale. Mind the gap.
It's a problem, but it's very fun though. Even the Overshield and active camo, which I was worried would be a little bit broken at first, being able to prop whenever you want. I think you tend to find that the camo, you want to just prop instantly. In a lot of situations, it's incredibly powerful in this game, sneaking up behind people and punching them back. I think it masks your footsteps if you're walking, and it takes you off the motion tracker as well, so camo feels really good. Overshield doesn't feel too busted. It takes such a long time to activate it that you sometimes die mid-activation. And also, it doesn't give you as much of a buff as like Halo 3's Overshield did. I think it's been balanced pretty well. So yeah, that's the equipment. There are so many cool nuances I could talk about. Just talk about what make the multiplayer in this game so amazing. Yeah, it has its faults. The lack of game type diversity, while I would argue has been earned thanks to just how good the current offerings are, is a problem, and a long-term would become a big problem if not changed. But I do find myself excited by the prospect of Halo Infinite being a live service game. I am sorry to use this example, but Fortnite eventually fell into the habit of adding a new weapon or sandbox item every single week, and it was always exciting to see what comes next. If 343 Industries are able to keep up that same pace, then we are in for a real treat. Imagine a new weapon or vehicle added to the game every week, or even every other week. How cool would that be? It really is now up to 343 to prove that they've got what it takes to keep the game fresh and keep us coming back. Halo Infinite's multiplayer, as it stands, is my favourite game. 140 hours in, and I'm still very much in the honeymoon period. I don't remember ever enjoying a game this intensely for this long, and I am so excited for this game to continue to evolve. Thank you 343 for making the most fun Halo game since Halo 3, and potentially ever. That's my review. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you hate my guts now? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. Thank you for watching. Plenty more Halo content coming very soon.